recently gained a new character. I got the Dragon Avatar character. I also got Mayrill. I got the new Braveheart weapon for Eugene. I got a bunch of the stuff that I really needed in order to round out my tier list. I've also got more experience now because I've been playing the PvP quite a bit and some PvE as well, and taking the time to really try out new characters and new weapon combinations. So with that being said, let's do another tier list, this time updated and upgraded, and hopefully with a little bit more solid information now that I've had time to do it myself. That being said, please do like this video and subscribe by clicking the link down below in the pinned comment if you would like to see more of this type of stuff in the future. And with that being said, let's go ahead and roll the intro and get into the video.
Well, pod. Welcome, 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 well, pod. Don't forget to subscribe. This is Darth Microtransactions channel, and we're gonna have some fun tonight. Well, pod, welcome back.
We're going to break down this tier list into 3 different tiers. There's going to be A, which is the best tier in the game. A tier, meaning the best characters will reside here. There's B tier, meaning they're still good, but they're not the very best characters like in the entire game, okay? And then C tier is going to be characters that are still uniques. They still have use, but they're not some of the very best, and they're not the best, okay? They are just usable characters. I will make a point of saying now no unique character in this game is unusable. All of them fill a role or can do something beneficial. They've done a good job in this game of not making garbage uniques, although I will say there's definitely a couple characters that in my opinion are in the C tier. Keep in mind when we talk about this tier list as well, we're going to be talking about them with their EX weapons and at max evolution stage, as I assume you want to know what these characters will be like once fully invested into. Starting in the C tier list, we're going to talk with the only character in the game that I don't have, and I have not had a chance to play against. For this reason, it's a little bit of an anomaly. This is the character that I admittedly have the least information on the game, but I'm using some basic logic to determine that I believe she's in this tier list. And let's go through why. If we look at her actual abilities, once fully evolved, what she does is she has a basic attack called Soundwave, and if you read her final evolution here, when using Soundwave's skill, which is her basic attack, restores the most depleted party member's HP by 5% and increases their defense by 30% for 5 seconds. AKA the most wounded person gets healed, gets a defense buff. And if you look at her chain skill going from all to downed, sing songs that inflict 200% of DPS around the target, increases party members' attack by 30% for 5 seconds. Her party basic attack bonus is 40%. And what this brings us to understand is this character is apparently a supporting character, both to give attack, defense, and health back. Now, normally when you're running supportive type of characters, you probably are trying to either smash all of the same bonuses in to really, make it all a fire or a light or whatever this character be for the basic attack ones. But something to keep in mind and why I believe this character is a C tier list is that she only heals one party member at a time. While we have a rare that you get through going through the story, that her basic attack summons bats to damage enemies and heals all party members. All party members, not just the most wounded for 5%. And if you look at the Bat Storm here, inflicts 300% of DPS damage to the target and nearby enemies, which is an AoE, restores party members' HP as well in the chain skill. And then the special move, when HP hits 0, recovers 40% HP instantly, 60-second cooldown time. So every minute, she's effectively immune to dying as well, and she gets 40% HP back. I think this rare is flat out better. Plus, if you look, she has a party dark attack of 30% and 3% HP recovery on enemy kill. She's an overall fantastic healer for PvE, and I've even seen her used in Coliseum to some pretty good effects. For that reason, I do believe that the Idol Eva here, Captain Eva, whatever we call her, I do believe she resides within the C tier, but that's the only character I have yet to have experience with. Next on the C tier for me is Knight Lady Lapis. I do have her, and I do have her with her weapon as well. And what she effectively does is attacks kind of in a straight line, and she's supposed to basically be a DPS type of character, continuous DPS. If you look here at the way the basic attack works, stabs enemies with incredible speed, the stab levels up, becomes stronger over time, up to level 3. So she has to hold it down for it to get stronger, okay? The move for her chain skill here, shoots a giant umbrella that inflicts 360% of DPS damage, and when hit by an enemy, movement speed increases by 30%, attack by 30% for 5 seconds. So we kind of have to talk about what's happening here. Unfortunately, she has to be hit in order for her to both increase her damage as well as movement speed. For this reason, she's almost not even good against what she would be good at, which is killing bosses. She's in position continual DPS. She's meant for attacking things like Scarecrow, getting your numbers up. You can just sit there and spam over and over again. Her weapon even helps increase this factor, right? If you look here at the exclusive weapon, check this out. Okay, increases the attack range of 1000 Neos. She can also jumpstart 1000 Neos from level 3 right after using skills. What this effectively means for the people using this character is that you use an ability, then you just start auto attacking and you get your DPS as high as you possibly can on the main boss, and you just sit there, and when he hits you, you get your bonus damage. But it's kind of a bummer because bosses can do large chunks of damage to you. It'd be much better if every time she hit, she got a small movement speed bonus so you can keep up with the people or run them down with this move. This character has anti-synergy with itself, which is it's a little bit of a bummer, and is kind of why I'm not too big of a fan of this one. And the move, her move chain skill itself just does DPS, and her weapon exclusive isn't really that great because it jumps to level 3 only after using the skill. Moving up to the B tier, yeah, there's only 2 characters in the C tier. Moving up to the B tier, Pliltvice is going to be the first character in the B tier. The reason, the first time I did this list, I was debating putting her in the C tier, but I think she's actually a B tier now. A couple reasons. Fire attack bonus is up. It's a 40% fire attack with 15% skill attack. There's a new dragon avatar character who kind of helps put this together to make this a pretty good bonus. On top of that, I've been fighting against her in PvP and Arena, and if you don't have Marina, in PvP, what you can do is use this character instead. Use her as the first, because most people use a Marina first in PvP. You go in and you like grab the chest to get the bonus attack up, and she's really good at that because one, she's kind of tanky, and two, she can continually heal, and she's mostly good in PvE. She makes the B list because of the way her abilities work, which let's go through and talk about the abilities. Okay, so I have her, and I have her with her weapon. You also get her for free in the game just for farming skill points, which I think kind of bumps her up in the tier list a little bit as well, just for the fact that you get her free. Okay, so fires a flame sword that penetrates enemies. It's an AoE cleave, essentially, that goes through a little bit. Temporarily awakens her true power and increases damage inflicted by Undying Flame by 50% for 10 seconds. Increases defense for 50% for 10 seconds. This goes from injured to down. If you look at her weapon, it does in fact put enemies into injured state by releases a sacred flame to destroy enemies and heal allies. Puts enemies in injured state. So you can heal allies. But look here, for each enemy hit, this is on the weapon, for each enemy hit inflicts 25% of extra DPS and restores 1 HP % by certain chance. So you hit somebody, 25% extra damage per person hit. You hit 5 people, 125% bonus, and then you restore 1% HP by certain chance. For each person hit, you would restore 5% HP. So for that reason, PvE is pretty good too. Or she's even good in Coliseum, where you put her up front and everyone, if they're using lots of melee people, and group in, and she can cleave through them and kind of heal. Kind of a tank character. I don't think she's that bad. She's in the B tier. Maybe without Dragon Avatar in these day and age where fire is better, it might have put her into the C tier, but as it stands, she got a little bit of a bump up. Plus, she's free, so you can't complain about that. Lawn's pretty solidly in the B tier. I almost want to upgrade Lawn to the A tier, honestly. I think this character might be a little bit slept on. The damage output's pretty decent from the basic attacks. And the way the Thunder Fist works, where it throws like an extra fist at a wider range that kind of targets in on the person, is really cool. The chain skill is nice too. It goes from airborne to injured, and I don't have too many characters, that do airborne really well. So it's kind of nice to go to airborne to injured, which then kind of pairs to other characters. Something that I think is interesting about Lawn is if you look at Fu of Resurrection, restores HP by 15% of the party member with HP lower than 50%, aka if they drop below 50%, 15% HP gets used. Pow. That's how it works, okay? It can only happen 1 time per person. So it's kind of a passive automated heal. Pretty cool. I like that. It's a bummer it's only once per person, but you can understand why. Or else, 15% go above 50, drops back down, get 15% again. It'd be kind of like almost an immortality type of deal. You also get HP recovery on enemy kill and bonus HP. For this reason, this character is kind of an all-around DPS, but at the same time making your team tankier. I think you can pair him with people like Pliltvice, the Karina vampire character, and maybe even Eva if you have her, and just to make a leech type of HP team, paired with the immortality from Karina. She would have a lot of passive HP gain. Might be an interesting Coliseum team. Now, it's not the most broken pay-to-win teams ever, but it's an interesting idea that I've yet to play with. I think Lan's not a bad character. It was the first unique I pulled. I have the weapon for it as well. If you look at the exclusive weapon, summons 8 diagrams of Taji, puts enemies in airborne state. So you can go airborne into injured and then carry them from injured on, which is a combination that doesn't happen too much. Now, if you look here, this is another reason I like it. The weapon on hit, energy explodes by certain chance, inflicts 20% of DPS, and decreases melee defense by 20% for 5 seconds. Melee defense isn't something that gets decreased very often. If you pair Lan with people like the Ido Eva, like I was saying earlier, that give basic attack bonuses, plus people like Marina who heal based on basic attack, and Plebfies who heal off of basic attack with bonuses, and they're melee, this might be a pretty good combination, okay? And it can give you 20% skill damage on the sub option of the weapon, which is a rare stat that I don't see very often. Lan's not bad, solidly in the B tier, in the higher of the B tier. This is another character that pairs really well with Lan. It counts as a melee attack when you use this character. This is Lupina. Her weapon, which summons Dark Wolves, and check out the exclusive weapon here, really cool. You get 2 extra Dark Wolves by a 30% chance, so a third of the time, you get 2 more, okay? And she puts people in the injured state. 4 hounds charge forward, inflict melee attack. Now, why is the melee attack so cool? Well, the way it works is she's a ranged character, but her move does melee bonus damage, basically. It does the melee variety of damage. I mean, look at her chain skill here. It goes from injured, which the weapon turns people into airborne, which is kind of the reverse of the previous character, airborne to injured. And the Dark Wolf claws at the enemies and inflicts 425% of DPS as melee attack. Look at the special ability. Moving speed and attack of the normal attack Dark Wolf increases by 25%. So basically, just basic attack, 25% bonus speed, and attack for her passive once you hit the evolved stage 5, crit chance 27%, and 8% attack increase on enemy kill. She is actually really good for PvP, a little bit slept on in PvP. I've lost to this character in PvP. What's kind of annoying is the wolves can do a ton of damage in their range, and she'll crit all the time because of the crit bonus chance. You probably want a bonus crit chance in your party for PvE or PvP, so I don't really think that this is that bad of a character, especially good in the Colosseum from what I've seen as well. If you do happen to get her, I got her with her weapon. If you do happen to get her, again, this list is for EX with weapons. I think you really need the weapon on this one. Much like some of the other characters in our A tier list, which we're going to move on from Lupina. She's kind of a short talk. Really, it comes for the crit chance. She does melee damage from a range, and that's why she can pair good with people like Lan to remove the melee defense. But if we move here to the next and last character in the B tier, you might have thought I'd put her in the A tier, but actually having her as well as playing against her, unfortunately, my friends, I do believe the new character is a B tier character. Now, she has some cool things about her, but there's really one word that comes down to, which is clunky. The character's attacks are clunky and easily dodgeable. If you guys have played against Bari, you know when Bari attacks and shoots the thing, the AoE is so large, it's almost like a nuke going off where it's going to hit you no matter once if it releases. This person's third attack, which let me talk about the weapon here. We go to the exclusive weapon. The number of flame explosion increases 1 extra time an explosion occurs and inflicts extra damage to 30% chance flame blows hit and continually strikes enemy with powerful blows. That move is a close melee move, so it's kind of a bummer to use that too, but look at this. So the flame combat, flame blow, approach to an enemies with the speed undetectable to naked eye. So it kind of jumps towards the enemy, but it doesn't do a good job of the jump. I thought it would by looking at the videos, but once you actually get them, the jumping towards the people is really clunky. Causes an explosion on the ground in the front. This is actually like a line shot that's fairly slow and is dodgeable. So in PvP, this character is easily exploited. You just walk around in a circle, or you just run away from him and dodge all his moves, and you hit him with whatever range you have. Kind of a bummer. The Flame Blessing here burns targets with Sacred Flame and inflicts 100% DPS. This is the cool part. Increases party members' defense and fire type attack for 30% for 8 seconds. Now you can start to see how you pair this character with some of the PvE flame-based characters, and it starts to make sense. And look at this here. Special ability. Damage inflicted on enemies that are not fire type increased by 25%, and damage inflicted on fire type enemies decreased by 25%. AKA use this character in PvE versus anybody that's not fire type based, in the raids, etc. You're going to do tons of bonus damage. I think that this character has potential with other fire characters, but due to the clunkiness of the jumping forward plus the dodgeable fact of the shot, it's really not good in PvP, and in PvE it could be a lot better. All right, this moves us to the A list, okay? And let's start from worst to best in the A list, okay? So in the A list, number one, I think in terms of, it made it to the A list, but it's the lower one is actually Arabelle. So I've used this character, I've put this, I quit clicking on that. I've put a whole bunch of resources into this character, Awakening, I've got the weapon, everything. This character is one word, which is DPS. Okay, it just tons of DPS. If you look at the Plasma Shockwave, additional ability shoots condensed plasma at 310% of DPS damage. That's just what it does. It goes from injured to down. On hit, crit hit chance and movement speed increases by 20% for 3 seconds. So again, more damage. You look at the party bonus, it's dark attack 40%. She's dark, the weapon's dark, skill attack 10%, the skill is pure DPS. Everything about this character is DPS. And that's all it has. For that reason, Arabelle dumps out large numbers, but kind of fails when it comes to anything defensive or really anything to help the party out that's not bonusing the dark attack damage. Arabelle is nuts in PvP if you don't have the other characters that are better than her. Okay, and if the enemies don't have the characters that are better than her, she's nuts. And she's really good in PvE too. I've used her significantly in anywhere that really requires ranged characters, and it's been fine for me. I haven't had any issues. Arabelle's a great character. If you pull her, you can go all in. But keep in mind, she is, in my opinion, the worst of the best characters. The other thing is, since this is the EX weapon list too, keep in mind the weapon's mandatory for her. She's pretty garbage without it. Look at this one here. Shoots a special plasma grenade that bounces off a maximum of 3 times, putting enemies in injured state. So again, more DPS, 175%, and it bounces off for a maximum of 3 times. Pretty good. So you can hit like a boss basically, and it can go do and hit 3 times. I've seen that happen. So kind of nuts. Personally, I feel like if she had 20% more DPS, she would be absolutely disgusting. But as it stands, you need a good roll on the weapon, you need the skill damage, and you really need her to be maxed out. And then once you have that, she does a ton of damage. But if the other people have some of these other characters, well, now we have some really hard decisions, which is we're picking the next character that's just slightly better than Arabelle. It's not Marina, because Marina's still a god, okay? It's not Bari, because Bari is probably the second best. Okay, now we have a decision to make between Eugene and Tina. These are our two decisions. Now, I'm going to say I have this character maxed out. I've limit broke the weapon a pretty good amount of times because I kept getting it. I've been very impressed with this character, both PvE, PvP. Party range attack of 15% or 50% is nuts. Going injured to airborne's good. Shoots arrows that inflict 300% DPS. Storm arrow inflicts extra 150% DPS. Really, really good. When you mark a person, you can do tons of damage quickly. You hit them with more than one of the 3 arrows, does more damage. The extra arrow goes through walls, which is great. I would say the chain skill can be really hard to land. Excuse me, not the chain skill, this one. The one where it does a golden AoE, golden shower on this person can be hard to land. It shoots off randomly sometimes. It's a long generation, but does tons of damage. The weapon can roll great bonus stats. Crit chance on the weapon, skill damage on the weapon, as compared to Eugene. Now, I have Eugene, I have her weapon. I haven't got as much time behind her, and her party melee attacks 50%. I really want to say these people are equal. The difference is, I think Tina is better in PvE, whereas Eugene really is like a god of PvP from what I've seen. I've lost a lot to battles in Eugene. So what I'm going to say here is that Eugene is, if you pull her, she's one of the best 3 characters in the game for PvP. I've changed my mind on her. Before I said I think she was garbage if you didn't have her weapon. I still don't think she's good if you don't have her weapon. But once you have the weapon, she's quite good. And I've lost many battles to a good Eugene player. And the reason is the chain skill, 500% DPS after they go airborne. You look at the weapon here. Wildly shoots gun, inflicts range damage, puts enemies in the airborne, right? 280%, which is a large amount as well. So it's 280%. Plus, look at these stats. 30% defense, 20% HP, flat defense, 10% crit, and you can limit break it to get 10% more here as well. And she can shoot from far away. I'm going to break it down like this. I think Tina's better in PvP, or excuse me, Tina's better in PvE, and Eugene's better in PvP. I think they're on the same level, though, because if I pulled Tina early and she carried me through everything, whereas I'm pulling Eugene late and she's going to be my replacement for Tina. Which brings us to who's the other 3 people on my arena team, and it's Bari and Marina. Now, Bari is going to be our second best character in the game. As it stands, the numbers seem too large on this character. You get 80% skill attack. The way the basic attack works when you have a weapon is ridiculous. Let me show you. So let's do the weapon first, which is Flower Bomb. Continually fires spell bullets, put enemies in an injured state. The spell bullets do tons of damage. Look here, skill damage, 24% off that, plus 80% from the skill. And fire, look at this here on the weapon. Fires a swift spell bullet by 50% chance. Swift spell bullets shoot at 40% higher speeds. It's very important. It recharges in 40% shorter time than normal spell bullets. So what basically happens is this weapon is going to allow you to machine gun snipe people. This character is a build where you sit there and you charge a beam and then you shoot and it kind of nukes the people around them. You do the chain skill when you can, which rose vines swirl around them. You do 300% more DPS and you reduce the earth type resistance, which is the type of damage you do. We do earth damage with her weapon. And then when the bullets are recharged, the attack increases by 30%. So you kind of kite around, you try to get them snared, you hit them with the damage, and you move around constantly while they're getting injured and down, and you just nuke them down. Unfortunately, the way the game, that's how it's supposed to happen. What actually ends up happening is you basically just run in with your tanks in the beginning. Marina, who's the #1 on this list still, you tank everything up, you eat up the bonus crates, and then you just one-shot people because her damage is ridiculous. And last but certainly not least, we have Marina. Marina is the best character in the game, still is the best character in the game, and it kind of all comes down to a few things. One of which is the character is extremely tanky. There's reasons why, which we'll get into. You can look here, the party HP, 40%. Weapon skill regen, 8%, and her weapon skill allows her to give herself a water shield. If you actually look at the weapon here, it calls for bombardment support to attack enemies all around, puts them in down state. So now that they're in down state, you can use your chain skill here, which from any state turns them into injured, inflicts 250% of DPS to enemies, and creates a 20% water shield around all party members, which is basically just a gray bar shield that resists damage up for 20% there. When using pulling skill, defense increases by 30% for 5 seconds. So you hit them, you pull them with the anchor, and then the anchor also taunts them as well, and the anchor goes through walls and everything, which is abusable in both PvP and PvE. The taunt's highly important, as well as the defense up's highly important, and the shield is highly important for PvE. PvP, the shield and all that doesn't matter as much. It's mostly the fact of how tanky you are, and what you do is you run in, just tank the damage, get the bonus crates if you can, and then have your Bari one-shot them on the back end, okay? Marina is the best character in the game for PvE, PvP, everything. I would still focus on her. It doesn't mean she's leaps and bounds above some of these other characters, because Bari is a very close second, if not contending for first place. And Eugene and Tina, these are very good characters as well, okay? They're kind of tied for third in a little bit different ways. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say the Archer personally, but they're very close. They just kind of do, one does melee, one does range, and kind of depends upon the build, all right? If you pull any of these characters, any of the uniques, keep in mind, all of the uniques have a role in the game and can be invested into without really wasting your resources, because they are worth it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, or if you learned anything at all, consider subscribing or leave a like, or at a minimum, leave a comment and let me know how you're doing today. I'll respond. Have a great day. I love y'all. Click the subscribe link in the pinned comment to subscribe, and I'll see you later.